Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 16th, 2022 at approximately 6:23 a.m. PST. Well, I figured I'm going to look at this way today. Made some remarkable headway, like I've mentioned. Okay. In order to get the energy in your life running in the right direction, pick something you're not content with. Well, simply put, I am not content with the marketing I've been doing as far as my books go. But in order to do that, I had to get a handle on where things were. So yesterday, I spent the better portion of the day looking for the most recent copies of all of the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Now, there's 12 books in the series. 12 books in the Saga. To a total volume of approximately 4,800 books, or 4,800 pages, of which I've written just shy of 1,500. Okay, so, you look at that, and that would be the pages. So I've written approximately 30% just a little shy of 30% of the actual saga. But I've got it split up amongst the 12 books. Okay, the book 12, right, really the next book coming out is going to be the Return to Paradise, the final book of not only the trilogy, but if you look at the whole sequence, right, this is the last book in the series, but it takes you back directly to the first one. I figured out how to tie them together. So now what I'm doing is going through. I've got all the books worked on my desktop. I'm going to move them onto a zip drive and shove them into safety deposit box now, simply because of the fact that I desire to make absolutely certain I've got a solid record of them in case I've got a fire here again. Now, the fire wasn't actually in my apartment. It was just in the apartment block, but it was close enough to make the point. So, here's the way this works. We take a look at these two. Yes, a lot of the information I work with, I end up putting on paper. Putting into booklet form. Now, with that in mind, if you look below this list of videos, you'll find a list of books that are actually in print. All of them can be gotten directly through me. Okay, with the additional bonus of The Birth of the Wolf Pack and the End of an Epoch, which are both part of the Yldrbacian Chronicles, can also be ordered through Amazon. Now, for me, I take PayPal or direct deposit if you're in Canada. I don't think I can get direct deposit from anywhere else in the world. The prices listed by the books they're listed below are number one, shipping included in Canada and the continental US. Okay, then I've got this neat little series of books. Okay, get to that in a second. First of all, I've got these two, which is The Birth of the Wolf Pack and The End of an Epoch. Okay, that's book 1 and 2 of the trilogy. And then, of course, this neat little one, which I've shown you before. This is the soft copy of the Return to Paradise. And it's coming along. I've got about another 15 pages to ship from hard copy to soft copy. Okay. Then I've got these books. Now this one and these two, this is actually the one that is the backbone of how I turned my life. Okay. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams gives you the backbone of how I looked at changing the way my world was going. Today, having gone through a staggering amount of annoyances, okay, let's face it, I'm 59, I am not perfect, I am still learning. Okay, I'm still striving to figure out what's the most effective method, because I've been disconnected from interacting, and I've been told this is not the way to live. I was actually told one day, if you're not out there interacting with people, watching the news, keeping up on society, on what society's up to, then you're not living. And I'm like, well, I may not be living, but I'm also not stressed to the gills. Speaking of which, I checked my blood pressure again this morning. After exercise, after getting up and running for the day, and getting my body up and running, blood pressure, well, it was 128 over 86 with a pulse of 75. This is after getting up and running mobile. Okay. So the way I look at it, since they want 180 over 20 or 120 over 80, right, I figure 186 over 86 after exercise, I'm happy. I already got my coffee, so that's always good. Haven't had breakfast yet, but oh well, I wanted to get this done. So I've got all the books worked out on they're all sitting on my desktop. The 12 from the Yldrbac Chronicles. Now, what did I just do with them? I put my books down, can't see where the heck I put them. By the way, memory not always a strong suit. Oh, put them back, that's fine. These two. There are 11 others, or there are 10 others in this series, and you'll see the size of them. Right. That one is the backbone of it. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams. This one is the backbone to how I got my business functioning. Now, I haven't pushed it. Okay. The reality is I've had my business since 2007 and have done just about nothing with it. Right. Simply because I had a stable job and I was quite content to sit back and go, I don't need to worry about it. Right. I'm sitting right now getting things mobilized in a way that I'm content with. Okay, and these are just the ways that I managed to deal with it. But with that in mind, pick a goal. Okay, the real key to this, the most successful people I've run into in business, now bear in mind, I've got about, roughly speaking, about 20,000 clients under my belt. So when I talk about the most successful people in business, I've got about 20,000 business clients under my belt. So when I talk about the most successful ones, I'm talking out of the ones I've dealt with. Okay, it's not a question of when you go to bed. It's not a question of that at all. It's a question of when do you get up. The most successful business people that I've run into, and if we take a look at, boy, that came out really choppy. By the way, this is a live recording, meaning I go back, I double check, make sure I've got the date right, and then I post it. Okay, but out of in excess of 80,000 clients. Okay, bear in mind I've been doing this for, well, I'm 59 now, so I've been doing this for 36 years. Okay. And most of my work has been done by phone. Okay, however, with that in mind, I still work for a company that I deal with by phone. Okay, so I only operate face-to-face. But the most successful people I run into, okay, whether it's running a business or running a household properly, are up and active by between 5 and 6 in the morning. Okay. So I mean that's the best way to look at it. Set your alarm clock to get up at 5 or 6. From my standpoint, I don't like being out of bed before and after. I don't like sleeping longer than 6, regardless of what time you go to bed. Now, the reality is, if you end up grabbing a nap later in the day, so be it, especially when you get to my age. Okay. Turns out I'm sleeping about 4 to 6 hours. And then I'll take an hour or two nap in the afternoon. Okay. But that's working for me. So you take a look at where your life is. Are you content with your life? Society itself, yes, is a major concern, but I came to the conclusion that if we take care of the individual people and we get you guys pointed in a direction that's more effective, not more effective to me. If you're happy with the way your life is, then frankly stay that way. The key to making society run better is to literally start living life based on what you're content with, given that the 3 karmic laws are followed. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, those are the only 3 laws I pay attention to. But bear in mind, all of the laws that you follow, whether they're religious, legal, parental, or support group oriented, or societal for that matter. Okay, I have not found one law that does not fall into those 3. So the advantage I have in my eyes is I only have to remember 3. Okay, now the neat part about it is this, when we take a look at this series literally starts with creation itself. Okay, and comes all the way, the entire saga does. This is the birth of the wolf pack. It is post-apocalyptic. Okay, it's now I've always where it comes to this story, it dates back to when I was in grade 10. I wrote the storyline where I combined creationism, evolution, technology, magic, aliens, ancient races, as in the ones that evolved on Earth, mankind, the whole 9 yards. And I combined science and religion, single gods and multiple gods. It's all tied neatly together in one package. Okay, but that being said, it turns out that what I wrote when I wrote the storyline in the first place, according to my English teacher at the time, it turns out that I wrote that the story, and it is included in each of these books. It's the saga. This is the saga, right? The original storyline, almost unaltered. As in, the only alteration in it is when I first wrote it, I put down actual numbers of years. I took the numbers of years out and carried on from there. So, when I wrote it, she just looks at me and she goes, "Do you have any idea what you wrote?" I says, "Yeah, a storyline." Right, a book outline. I said, "Granted, it's going to take me multiple volumes to get it written." And she goes, "No, well, yes, it is a book outline," but she says, "You wrote an epic poem." I said, "What, pray tell, is an epic poem?" She goes, "It's something that nobody has taught since the middle 1800s. Okay. So, and then she looks at me and she goes, "You're going to make your money writing." I don't know if I will. I'm not making a whole pile of money writing. I've sunk a lot of money into it, but I'm still working on figuring out how to market. Okay, which is one of the things that I've got to get done today. So, I got that all sorted out. I will be going back through and building, because this is the size. This might give you an idea of the magnitude of this. I'm looking at the next 10 years, aiming at putting out 1 book a year. Of those ones, never mind the rest. Okay. But, on top of that saga, okay, I've got two books I know of right offhand that I'm in the middle of writing at the same time that are tied directly to the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay, so I'm laying them out, and they're in the middle of being written, and I'll be finding them today as well, because I have to. Jeremiah's journal. Jeremiah is the lead. He is the main protagonist. Okay, and his journal is a side story that is going to take me over 10 years to write, because what it is taking the journal entries and putting them all under 1 book. And throughout the Yldrbacian Chronicles, he's making journal entries as he goes along. Yes, I've got an itchy ear. This is a live recording, and no, I'm not going back to edit any of that. By the way, the whole issue here, from my standpoint, okay, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. do subscribe to the channel because I cover a lot of different topics. There's a lot of information coming out. You know, numbers fluctuate. Right now I'm sitting at 278 subscribers, which is about 275 more than I could have hoped for. Well, I could have hoped for a lot more, but I'm not here to compete with anybody. Okay. The reason I'm going through this is it seemed like the best idea at the time. If you're working on a project, if you've got a project and it's a big one, doesn't matter how big it is. Get the idea, get it broken down into smaller packages. Okay. By doing that, I've currently got, well, like I said, I've got that much done. I've got all 12 books have stuff in it. Book 4, which I'm not honestly certain what let's see. Oh, yes. Book 4, also known as, the working title is La Shangria. Right, which is it's a passive little book, but I've only written, what is it here? I've only written 7% of it. Sorry, not 7%. 0.7%. Yes, I've got my document right up here that tells me exactly where I'm standing. You break it down. This is where this list comes in. Okay. And I'm not expecting you to read it because, well, I'm looking at the video and I can't read it at all. But if you don't know where to start, that's the easy part. To change the direction your energy is going. Okay, to get your home back into order, to get your finances running. Take a look at where you are and ask yourself one question. Are you content with the way your life is right now? Okay, now, it's funny because the story that I've written, okay, with the Yldrbac Chronicles, the main protagonist, he's got his ups and downs, absolutely, like normal. But he's focused on one thing, putting things right. Funny part about it is my life kind of looks the same way. When I take a look at these, at this one, I believe in yourself. The whole idea was to help people, to give people something solid they could look at. And you'll notice with Believe in Yourself, it's a small little book. Okay. The chapters are written in such a way that they stand alone. Okay, and it's the same with the trilogies I'm writing, and each of the books in the Yldrbac Chronicles. Each have a starting point, each have a finishing point. In the 4 trilogies that are involved, each have a starting point and a finishing point, and so does the Saga. But the funny part about the Saga is I figured out how to tie it together. So that you go back and start over on book 1 to tie book 12 to book 1. But I also found out the way that I'm ending book 12 off leaves a wide open door down the road. Okay. And I may do a little bit of work on it on the side just to get a basic idea. So if somebody decides to pick it up. Okay. And no, I have no idea if anybody will. This may die when I do. So I'm working really hard. I'm going to be talking to my artist. Next time I talk to my artist, I'm going to start laying out the cover for the next book, for book 1. See, book 12, the Return to Paradise, I've already got the artwork for the cover done. Okay, so I'm going to get him to start working on the cover for book 1. Okay, and get it done so I can get all the artwork completed in case I run into a problem with him down the road. Right. The internal artwork, I'm hoping to get finished by the same person, but it depends. He's younger than I am. Of course, a lot of people are younger than I am. But I'm quite happy to say that with the work I've been doing, by moving the computer where I have and by getting everything set up, I'm back to starting to be able to feel a little bit more comfortable typing with my left hand. This thing has been a royal pain in the neck. Okay, I'll tell you, if you get the option, turn it down. Do not have a stroke. Heart attacks are painful, absolutely, but they're easy to recover from. strokes, they're a pain in the neck. I was talking to one chap, and he told me it had been 5 years since he had his stroke, and he's just reached a point he knows he'll never get any better. Well, I'm not that way inclined. I will get back to the point where I can write comfortably with my left hand. Okay, I'm back now where I'm starting to be able to type without looking at my left hand. So, you can recover from virtually everything your body does, but let us be clear. I do things my way. Okay, I've been known to ignore doctors regularly. I will tell you right now, this is a really silly idea. Do not ignore the doctors. I mean, you can think what you will of them, but I'll tell you, when I snap my arm, I would rather have a doctor trained in medicine repair my arm than a backwoods butcher. Nothing against backwoods butchers. I'm glad they're available. Because frankly, if it weren't for them, we'd have a bigger problem. But here's the kicker to it. When you've got a major project, lay the project out, break it down into smaller projects, 15 minutes to half an hour in length. Okay. Because what happens, you get those little things checked off, and you'll feel like you got something done. You cannot stop energy, you cannot destroy it, you just change the direction it goes. You can break it down into its component parts. Okay. For me, it boiled down to really getting that heartfelt thing here. I was talking to my other half today, and, the reality is, my weight used to be very high, so when I talk about the way that I drop weight, okay, every tool I offer, okay, and the reality is I came back to this world to pass on one simple message to people, and that is that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, certainly some of you are not going to like the changes. Some of you have this brilliant idea that money is the be-all and end-all. But I like the way the one millionaire put it. He goes, I've been miserable rich and I've been miserable poor. He says, hands down, I would rather be miserable rich. Okay, as in a lot of material stuff. Another gentleman told me, money will not buy happiness. He says, I'm a multimillionaire. Money does not buy happiness. But he says, to be honest, it affords you the ability to look for it in a lot more places. Okay, now up until May of this year, I was always one paycheck away from living on the street. Today, using the methods I follow, okay, having gone through bankruptcy twice, having had a lot of setbacks, been married once, divorced once, okay, and currently in the middle of trying to organize to get married a second time. But I've been through all this myself, so I'm talking about things I've gone through. Okay, I came back to this world to remind everybody we can get through this. Okay, but it's going to require all of us. Okay, well, the majority. Because you cannot change energy, you cannot stop energy. It is going to continue. It's like stopping water from flowing. It doesn't stop. Even if you freeze it solid, it keeps moving. Okay. And I mean, you can take a look at that at people. Even if you're sluggish, let's say you've done that one thing that we've talked about before. And let's say your weight has gone right through the roof and you just can't move. You're just too heavy, but your heart says, I really desire to move. Well, here's the thing. Okay. And I'm not a medical doctor. Okay. But I've been told quite seriously that you watch this on the internet all the time. Some new fangled concoction comes up and goes, oh, you can lose 40 pounds in a month. Yeah, probably can. But the damage to the liver, and I don't know what it is, but considering all of the toxins get shipped through the liver and the kidneys, if you're dumping that much garbage, picture what happens if you're trying to pour a whole pile of stuff through a colander, like through a strainer. You pour a whole pile of toxin in there, it's going to plug it. And sooner or later, it's going to flow over. Same thing. If you put that much toxin through your kidneys and your livers ahead of time, all in one shot, you're likely to overload the kidneys and liver. Myself, I've been focusing on dropping 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a week. But here's the thing. If you're only dropping 1/10 of a pound a week, the point is you're dropping. Okay, I'm looking at my finances. I look at my weight and go, if I'm dropping 1/10 of a pound a week, okay, then I'm heading in the right direction. It did not take you one day to get where you are. Okay, my story took me a couple of days to write the outline. It has taken me 40 years to get focused. Yeah, pretty much. 40 years to get focused enough to start writing it in earnest. Now I'm back at a point where I can go, okay, it's going to come out. I'm back on a solid track, but it takes effort in order to be successful, and you're the only one in existence that can be successful for you. You can wait around for God to come down and change your life. You can wait around for somebody else. You can point the finger at everybody else and go, it's your fault I'm in this mess. Bad news. If you're an alcoholic, if you're an overeater, a drug addict, a sex addict, you're the one to blame. Circumstances certainly pointed you in that direction, and lack of support undoubtedly encouraged it. But it's up to you. You have to have a purpose. Why do you desire to change? Sometimes using somebody else for motivation is a great idea. It'll give you that focus long enough for you to get it. It's kind of like if you've got a broken leg. Put a cast on it. In my case, I use a cane. Okay. Never did get casted, even when I broke my arm. But use a crutch, whatever you require. Okay. I'm not telling you what to believe. This is simply the way I work. Now, with that in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, one last little thing. No, tomorrow's Friday. I will be back again tomorrow. Okay, until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.